PowerProject family, you know how much we talk about sleep on this podcast. A lot. Because sleep is one of the biggest things that you need for muscle gain, fat loss, handling your cravings. You need good quality sleep. And that's why we are super pumped to be partnering with an amazing sponsor, 8 Sleep. Now, 8 Sleep is a mattress company that has something called the Pod Pro and the Pod Pro cover. Okay, this is a cover that regulates the temperature of the mattress so you can actually sleep cool. And they've done a lot of research showing that people that sleep on the 8 Sleep mattresses actually fall asleep 32% faster. But the great thing too, people, we over here at the Power Project are hot sleepers. And what I mean is that we sweat. We have many times in our old mattresses woken up in a puddle of our own liquids being sweat. And let me tell you, that has not once happened in this 8 Sleep mattress because it keeps you cool while you sleep, which helps you get better restful quality sleep. Andrew, tell them more about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and then another thing also is if you sleep with a partner and they maybe don't run as hot as you actually have dual temperature zones. So I can set mine extremely cold. My wife can set hers not as cold, but still cool. And that really is like that in and of itself is like, it's so helpful. And especially again, like I said, when you sleep with a partner, they're happy, you're happy, you both wake up extremely happy. Everyone's happy. You got to head over to 8sleep.com/powerproject. That's 8 spelled out. So EIGHT sleep.com/powerproject, and you guys will receive $150 off your Pod Pro mattresses. Again, 8sleep.com/powerproject. Links to them down in the description, as well as the podcast show notes. Head over there right now.
All right. I got to explain to you guys because I think this would be super effective for everybody. I got this amazing morning routine. First thing I do is I grab my phone. I hop me on some Pornhub.
There you go.
And I beat my meat for a little while.
A little bit of Gold Bond cream.
Oh, hey now. Yeah. Hand cream.
Actually, no. Water-based lubricants are the best, but...
Oh. Coconut oil, right?
Coconut oil works great too. Nice and slippery, but it smells like coconut. I don't like the smell.
So yeah, I jerk off. And then like I just look at the clock and I'm like, I don't feel like getting up. So I just stay there a little bit longer. And then the mood hits me to jerk off again. So I do that. And then...
Do you nap in between?
Yeah, a little nap. A little nappy poo in between.
How the fuck do you deal with that refractory period? You're just like...
Yeah, I'm old. I'm old, but I ain't dead, you know?
You fall asleep, it kind of resets everything.
It's the test.
Yeah. It is. It's the test of time. It's a refractory factory.
Refractory factory. But vitamin B12 is actually going to be super beneficial for you guys for that. So get on it.
Then I load up on some caffeine and some kratom, and then I take a shit. Then I text you guys like, hey, it's 9 o'clock. I'm supposed to be there at 9 o'clock, but
I had to poop.
And 9:30 hits, and the second wave hits, and now my day is just really, the wheels are falling off.
And then you send that other text, sorry guys.
Just pooped again.
Second wave.
Yep. And then I somehow get here, managed to get here all in one piece. And then we make up some podcasts to do kind of on the fly like this one right here. And that's why our productivity is low and our product is low quality. And we're going to continue to service you guys with that as much as we possibly can. You can rely on me to show up late all the time. And not only am I going to show up late, but I'm going to underdeliver pretty much every single time. And when I'm done with this, I'm usually so fatigued that I halfway think about working out. And then I do push myself to work out because I need something for Instagram for the day. I get way too much anxiety if I don't get an Instagram post in there. So I'll just film like one thing that looks badass, but I didn't actually do that thing. I
like
just
the chains and the walking.
Yeah, I just did it for 0.2 seconds and then make a post. And I go home, and when I'm home, my bedtime routine is like I don't really have much energy for anything, so I just eat some dinner, watch some TV with my wife, and then usually yell at my kids a little bit. And I lay down. I'm like, oh, fuck, I forgot to brush my teeth. And I'm like, oh, shit, my mouth tape's across the room. And so is my eye mask. But I need to make another Instagram post. So let me get the eye mask and let me talk about mouth tape. I'll take a quick selfie.
There we go.
Then I plop down in bed and go, oh, fuck, I forgot to brush my teeth. And then I fall asleep. And then it's just, usually next day is on repeat. If I have trouble sleeping, I just take like mushrooms or something like that. And then I'm out cold.
You don't do a quick fapping nap?
Fapping nap.
I don't need to. The wife's sitting right there, you know?
So she gives you a quick fapping nap.
Yeah, something like that.
There we go.
It's always helpful.
You know, dude, a morning beat off is never good. A good way to start the day.
It seems like it, but it fucks you over.
Absolutely. Because you're just there.
You got no pep in your step.
You got
for the
some
day.
nut on your belly, and you're just like, I want to fall back or sleep.
Towel or something.
Do you realize how like sad that looks? Just a little nut on your belly. You're just like,
Made another lake.
Another like, oh, I did it again.
The shame.
And the shame. The shame sets in.
You're like, I'm disgusting. I can't believe I was watching that video either. That was gross.
And then you take a little finger, lick it on your tongue, it tastes like salt. And you guys don't do that? No.
It has electrolytes in it, right?
It does. Yeah. Right?
It has amino acids, I believe.
Yeah.
Tell people how they can get electrolytes, Andrew, without eating their own cum.
Oh my God, we're gonna do that right now. Well,
it's perfect insert, isn't it?
It can be.
Have we ever talked about this before? Do it.
Are you?
Do it.
Okay. They're telling me to. So some elements that don't require as much work. They do bring pleasure, but you know what I mean. drinklmnt.com/PowerProject. That's for you guys can go there for a free element recharge pack. It's
salty.
It's $5. It's a lot of salt in there, but it's a different type of saltiness. It's a more enjoyable, I'll say. Is it? It can be. It is, but if you want, get a value bundle because you can get 4 different boxes for the price of 3. Again, that's at drinklmnt.com/PowerProject.
I can't be the only one who's tried it before.
We're not doing this again.
So did we talk about this in the past?
Oh my God, how do you not remember this?
I got in trouble with Coach House. So.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Dude,
his wife's like, I'm done with those guys.
We had people.
I love Coach House. I can't get in trouble with the guy.
Dude,
again.
we had people saying like, "Well, I guess I'm going to go listen to Table Talk since these guys taste their cum."
We're not tasting each other's cum.
Yeah, no.
I mean, we just haven't gotten to that yet.
Yo, y'all, okay, nah, you know what? I'm sorry, Coach House, if you're listening, or Coach House's wife. No.
You know.
No, y'all cannot tell me as a grown man you haven't at least once been just like taking a little dab.
Has anyone at least smelled? I mean, at least smelled it,
everyone
right?
has. There's no way. It has a very smelly smell.
Is your curiosity that like
smelly smell?
I didn't mean smelly, but you know, I meant it has a lot of odor.
Yo, if you can smell your shit when it comes out, you got a problem.
Well, no.
Far away.
That's not
Again,
good.
going back to the towel, like that's definitely been used.
Like, wait, that towel's getting a little stiff.
Oh man,
You can break the towel in half.
Hey, who here? when I was a kid,
This is gonna be weird.
Man, this is the shit that happens when you watch porn at 11. When I was a kid, I was like, I want to make this feel better. So, you discover lotion, and then you discover, you could stuff a sock with some lotion.
Oh, yeah.
Like make your own fleshlight.
Make your homemade sock fleshlight.
You need to make a YouTube video on that. Bro, you've been hiding shit from us. What kind of sock are we? Never mind.
It's a white tube sock. It's like a classic, nothing crazy.
He needed
a
like a knee-high sock.
A compression.
No, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It wasn't a knee high.
He needed the old school like, basketball.
Your average sock.
You want a really good time, get a compression sock, put it in the microwave. I mean,
You probably had like
have a party.
like the socks that cholos wear.
Hey. That's a good one.
I'm an inventor.
I'm an inventor.
Yeah, I could add to the patents that I got.
Should we get into actually helping people with a morning routine? Because it's necessary. It's necessary.
I think people right now are like, that's fucking awesome because I do the same exact schedule.
I'm doing right now. If I can do that right now, I can end up like Mark.
He goes,
great.
Man, he goes 2 in a row though. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, man, that's impressive. Shit, I need time.
Part of that is very honest though. You do text us and say like, "Sorry guys, I had to take a shit."
That was the truth. That happened.
That is real.
That happened recently.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe
happens
it's all
like every
it's
day.
all real. Who knows?
Hey, but
We'll
with
never
this,
know. Surprised.
with 2022 coming up, I know a lot of you guys are trying to turn a new leaf. A lot of you guys are trying to like start better habits, change things up,
Whack off a little less.
whack off a little less, watch a little less porn, you know?
A little less.
Little less.
This will be out in 2022.
Hey, 2022 is going right now.
It's
There we
here,
go.
yeah.
It's here. It's going. So
You already beat it too much. Fucking bring that shit back a notch.
Let's dial it down
it's
a
January
little bit.
2nd and you've beat your shit 6 times. Calm down.
Why do we want to beat off so much?
Hey, man, it feels great. Dopamine
It
just,
does.
you know?
It does. Damn. Trying to figure out the root cause
Yeah.
of this situation.
Because I understand like we have to reproduce, but like why is it that like I don't know, we can't hit a switch and be like we're not reproducing right now.
Bro, that metaverse is going to make things so hard on guys. It's going to
Or
make things
soft.
so hard. It's,
Because it'll be done.
hey, but when you can get like, you know, virtual whatever and
Virtual poon.
virtual poon, you don't need to go out there and work for it. You don't even need to work out anymore. You could just be there with your miserable self with this virtual vagina and a fleshlight on your dick
like,
that
I-
vibrates and pulses. Why would you go out and try to get the real thing?
I own a fake house on the street next to Snoop Dogg. come hang out in my metaverse crib.
Oh man, that's just gonna be real dark.
MTV metaverse cribs.
Yeah,
Right?
I get it, yeah.
that's a real thing. That will be a thing.
And I just think once people experience the real thing though, they'll just be like, this metaverse thing was cool. Got me through some hard times, but it's not like the real thing.
But how like you know,
I'm
getting
just saying though, like
I know, I agree with you. But getting the this thing, getting the real thing, cool. But getting the real thing consistently. And as much as you'd want to get the real thing, some
that's
people
true,
haven't
yeah.
gotten themselves to a point where they're able to do that. So the real thing happens once every 2 months, and the metaverse happens 90 days every 2 months.
And also, you can kind of have whatever you want in that
You can get
metaverse.
whatever you want.
Women have been dreaming about vampires and fucking werewolves
right.
and shit for a very long time.
Yeah.
And now they can make that happen, and they're looking at your ass. They're like, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'll take Edward or Dracula
Yeah,
over that
right?
shit, right?
We're screwed.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. But hey, my ass, I wanna find out what companies are gonna be coming out with these technologies and see if we can invest in that shit.
Sex suit.
oh, dude, absolutely.
Because that will sell.
Yeah.
That
Everything's
was,
always, I said it before, as soon as there's like great inventions, and it's like always like sex right behind it.
Like,
you
how
know?
can we fuck this new invention?
Yeah. Or weapons, you know? Or like
Yeah.
it turns into that.
I have a question for the audience, real quick, for all my homies that are, you know, we've talked about porn on this podcast, but if you're still indulging, are you gonna fuck with that virtual shit? Like, are you going to put those goggles on and see those bouncing virtual?
It's like smoking a cigarette. Like you're better off not ever even trying it, right?
I know it's
Yeah.
gonna be too good, so I'm
Yeah.
never gonna let myself experience.
Except
it.
it's not a cigarette, it's like morphine.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
Yeah, it's like crystal meth. Yeah, it
Bruh.
might be.
Yeah,
it just needs
that's why
one shot.
That's
I
why
don't
I'd
think-
never want to try cocaine.
I don't think I should try it.
Yeah. No, Mark, please. Don't.
I'll look like Stevie Wonder all around here. You know, we'll be kind of moving my head around. The glasses on all the time.
But the things you'll invent, though,
You guys will be like, man, we lost them. We tried. We told them. Remember that podcast that we did when we told them not to do it?
Yeah.
we were all joking. He wasn't.
Yeah, man. There's just some things that certain people should not try.
Yeah, titties bouncing. Right?
And
And it
they-
could be unlimited titties. Could be like 4 or 5 titties. It doesn't have to be 2. You know what I mean?
All any which one
Like
you
Total
want.
Recall.
Total Recall. There you go.
You see, now
Girl
you
had
lost
3
me. I got
boobs.
it.
Hey, they made a new one,
I didn't see it.
and they did have the same. They called back the 3 boobs.
Yeah. For the females in the audience,
They already left.
They slammed the door shut on us.
I hope you guys are still here because we're gonna get into some good shit pretty soon. Well, we're already in some good shit right now. This is a very serious topic. This VR, you know, this virtual meta porn.
So many people got Oculus, or sorry, it's not even called Oculus anymore, but they got the Meta Quest 2 headset on Christmas. like
Andrew's
it was-
Andrew's our plug.
yeah, dude.
You set us up with that shit.
I know. I still think so. I'm into video games, and when I experienced the Quest 2 for the first time, literally like just over a year ago, I was like, oh my god, like this is not what I expected. I thought it was gonna be bullshit, and it was so much fun, and it was like where I thought video games should have been when I was like in high school. But it's so good. But yeah, it's people always go straight
Now,
to porn.
Quest has like exercise and stuff on it
Tons.
too, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like even something like Beat Saber.
I've seen some of that advertised, and I'm like, that actually looks really neat. Like it might expose, young people. I mean, young people are going to be on porn all day, so I don't know. But like, hopefully, it gets people into exercise.
I've read people say that they can't exercise consistently, but they can play VR consistently and have fun. And like, there's games where like you are shooting stuff or whatever, but like you have to squat under things and you have to dodge and you have to move and flail your arms all over the place. And playing something like Beat Saber, you'll be drenched in sweat.
It reminds me of Wii Boxing. When
Yeah,
Wii Boxing
absolutely.
first came out, that was so
100%.
fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was super fun.
Yeah.
All right, morning routine. What do you do?
What do
You
I
would
do?
mention you jump rope, and then you hop into a cold plunge.
Yeah, man.
Dude, what a crazy bastard. Andrew, what do you think about that?
I don't know.
Getting freezing cold right off the bat?
Yeah, so there's a method to this, and there's a reason. So, like the reason why
Andrew said no.
I said no.
Twice.
Just no. 3 times.
the reason why I jump rope outside is because sleep's a big deal, right? And we've learned from Andrew Huberman, who came on the podcast. That's an episode. If you haven't listened to, you got to go check it out. That you want to get some morning light to kind of start your circadian clock in the beginning of the day. Because if you just wake up and you stay inside for a period of time and your eyes don't get actually to sunlight, your body doesn't start releasing certain things that help your clock start so that when evening time comes, you feel sleepy again. So
It's supposed to help regulate like your melatonin.
Exactly. Helps regulate your melatonin too, so that your melatonin starts actually going up at a certain time during the night to get you ready for bed. So a lot of people just go from their, they wake up, they go from their car, they're outside for a few minutes before they get into their office, they're in there for a majority of the day, then they go home. But you want to get yourself morning sunlight.
I want to point something out too. Your car, just everything and all our modern technology is just crap. But your car has tinted windows in a sense that it blocks you getting the benefits of the sun.
The blue light, it blocks the blue light.
So if you think that you're, you're like, oh, I'm in my car for 45 minutes and the sun's out at that time, it's not the same. So unfortunately, you got to try to figure out a way to get sun. Maybe you can roll your window down and look at it a little bit, but it'd be nice if you could wake up a little earlier and try to catch that sun whatever way you can.
Or even take a walk. Like it's a great thing. Like I like to jump rope, so I can just jump rope, then hop into the plunge, and then my coffee's already being made, go shower, come down. But whatever you can do to get your morning sunlight, realize that morning sunlight right there is going to set you up so that you can actually have good quality sleep. And then I also try to, every time I can, I try to get a bit of the evening sunset, because there's another like ray of light that happens in the evening when the sun is setting. That's going to help also get that clock ready to everything wind down, so you can actually fall asleep well. You want your eyes to be seeing that. So those are two things that I do to make sure I have a good night's sleep, because with a good night's sleep, then I can do all the things I need to do the next day productively. So my routine is I get up, I go downstairs, let my dog out, I go jump rope for 10 minutes, and then I hop right into the cold plunge for 5 minutes, go inside, coffee's made, shower, come here. If I can find some time to meditate within there too, cool. If I can't meditate at that time or whatever, and I use Sam Harris's app, Waking Up. But if I can't do that, then I'll do it sometime during the day. That type of stuff, meditation, when you do it more, you'll find that it helps you be able to focus on certain things for long periods of time, because you're supposed to train yourself to be present. And those are the things I do in the morning.
Jumping rope, how long have you been doing that for?
I think I've been doing that for on and off for 2.5 months now. But I've been trying to like get much better at it. Like I really want to be able to just jump rope without it, feeling difficult. And it's been continuing to feel easier and easier.
Guess that
easier.
you're doing it inside, because it's been.
I'm doing it outside.
Okay.
Doing it outside, because even if it's raining or it's cold, I still
you said
want,
you let your dog outside.
Yeah, I let my dog outside. So I need my eyes to see that outside light. So that's what's happening during the jump rope. I'm getting my heart rate up, feeling good. My body's getting warm, but I'm also looking at the sky, because the main reason I want to do it outside is so I can get that morning light. Everything's supposed to be setting me up so I can have a good day, and I can have, again, a good night's sleep to wake up and do it again. But if I don't get that light, I notice that I don't sleep as well. I don't fall asleep as fast. It makes a very big difference. So whatever way, you don't have to jump rope. Go take a walk. Go sit outside. Maybe just sit outside and think. I don't know. But get your eyes seeing light when you wake up in the morning.
I have not messed with this much before, but people talk about earthing, and it would be very difficult to do earthing now because it's really cold out. But people just talk about having your feet make contact with the ground, like your actual feet, no socks, no shoes, earthing, grounding. People call it different things. There's even like a grounding mat that's supposed to give you like a similar vibe, but I don't know if that's like weird, like voodoo stuff, or if it actually does anything. But, I'm a pretty big believer that we're pretty damn connected to this earth. And what you're talking about with the light in the eye sounds almost like we're like robots, like we're some sort of like computer or something like that. But we kind of are.
We are.
We have this kind of programming in us that allows us to express certain parts of our genes in certain ways. And I think just a really key thing to hone in on is, if you're not currently starting your day with movement, that would be an excellent thing to start your day with. Some sort of movement, whatever version of movement that you can figure out. I realize for some people, like right when you wake up, trying to think about, doing like squats or push-ups, like if you're older or you just kind of beat up and your body's tight and sore, that might be kind of hard. But there's so many variations of all that stuff that you could do. While you're making your coffee in the morning or in between sipping your coffee, you can literally do some push-ups on your counter and just go on an angle, and those push-ups will be super easy. But the point isn't to have anything be really super hard or anything. The point is just to introduce some movement into your life first thing when you wake up. I think it's a great idea. For me, it's usually walking, but I don't have an opportunity to walk usually right away because I usually drive to wherever it is I'm walking. But that, for me, and I set up my walks a lot of times to where when I'm coming back from my walk, that I'm usually facing towards the sun. So I'm walking and it's usually pretty dark because I'm usually walking and it's kind of early. But as I go to come back, it's almost like I'm high. Like it feels, if I'm running, it feels fucking incredible.
Yeah.
But I feel so good. I'll be like super emotional during that. I'll be happy. I'll cry. I'll go through every emotion you can think of, which sounds kind of silly, but I wouldn't go through any of those things if I wasn't like pushing myself through something. But I think that the sunlight has a ton to do with it and allows me to work through stuff. And then sometimes I have people, they'll say, fuck man, how are you so calm? And it's like, well, if you did some of the stuff I did every day, you'd be pretty chill too. Cause it's like, I feel like I have a good skill set to be able to fend some of these things off because of the way that I'm just spending time taking care of myself. So if you're not currently moving first thing in the morning, I would strongly suggest, even based off what Nsima is saying, how he's getting up and popping outside and jumping rope, I'm thinking like, that would be good for me to do something where I'm moving right away, because by the time I go and do my walk, it is a little bit while later. So I'm just thinking, there's probably a couple things I can do first thing in the morning, some squats, some push-ups, something right when I get up with no excuses, just get a couple of them done.
Yeah. And a jump rope is just like a super cheap, piece of equipment that I think anybody can do. Like, and you don't need to do it nonstop. When I started doing it, I was doing 50 jumps, chill for a little bit, 50 jumps, chill for a little bit. Currently, the way I usually do it is I do 100 jumps, chill for maybe 10, 15 seconds, do 100 jumps, chill for 10, 15 seconds. I'll do a little bit over 1,000 jumps within 10 minutes. And I'm feeling good at that point. You know what I mean? Like, I've been breathing, I'm good. It's not super strenuous either. Like, you don't even have to do it for that long, but that will get your body ready to do whatever else you need to do during your day. And you'll end up feeling like you have so much energy. I used to start my day trying to meditate first, but I like now moving first. I like that so much more. And I can be more consistent with that than I can be with if I have to wake up and then I have to try to relax again. Right. It's already so, there's already a little bit of, I wouldn't call it toughness, but you got to get yourself up and out of bed, but then you're going to sit back down to try to meditate. And that's why that doesn't work. Like, I think this works much better for me currently.
Get your heart rate up.
Yeah.
There's so many different things you can do. We had a female on the show probably about 2 years ago now who had one lung. I'm just having a hard time recalling her name. She was good friends with Gabrielle Lyon, but
Killer KO.
Oh, was that her?
Does she have one lung?
No.
No, sorry. I was thinking push-ups in the morning. She would do like a shit ton.
Well, it might be her. I can't remember her name, but she would do 100 push-ups first thing in the morning. Like, she literally, that was what she did. Like, the second that she got, like, she would pop out of bed and bam, pop off 100 push-ups. And she got to a point where she could do 100 push-ups in a row. She'd be able to get them all knocked out at one time. And anybody who's tried to push their push-ups up a little higher knows how hard it is to do 100 consecutive push-ups. Very difficult. But I was like, damn, like that's awesome. But so a lot of times when you first wake up, you're not going to really feel like doing that. But just trust us on, if you do something like that, you are going to feel better doing it than if you hadn't done it. Yeah, the elbows might crack. You might have a little bit of this or that, but just whatever way you got to do them. You can even put like a pillow down or something and do like a half push-up or wear a slingshot or whatever way you got to do it. But just get yourself moving right when you wake up. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, so what's her? Okay.
She had her lung removed when she was 3.
Karake Lazauskas.
Yeah, Kara is a badass.
She's savage.
Yeah, she had one lung, but her one lung like grew and expanded from the type of work and workouts that she did to the point where it's got a similar capacity to somebody that has 2 lungs.
She's such an intelligent athlete too, athlete and coach. She's so fucking smart and such a savage. She's great.
Beast mode.
Yeah.
All the way.
I'm glad I remembered.
Dude, that's dope.
Get your shit moving, man. Like, especially if you have like an injury, you have something that hurts or something, you're gonna feel better. Like, anytime that I've had injuries, I used to do this very religiously. The first thing I would do when I first woke up was I would do banded good mornings and banded tricep push downs. And I would just take a band that you get from like elitefts.com and I would hook it over top of the door. And I would just do like a push down with it. And I would do like a couple 100 reps. I would also do some squats and like all during my powerlifting career, building up those big lifts. I wouldn't do those all the time. It was just any time that I got like banged up or anytime something got hurt, elbow started hurting. I'm like, the only way to like lean into this and to fix it is to do more of these exercises that are going to promote putting a lot of blood into the area. But it also is doing a ton for your brain. Like when I'm walking in the morning, imagine as soon as you're done jumping rope, you're probably thinking of all these ideas, all these jujitsu moves are fucking popping off in your head. And you're like, oh, I got to tell Mark and Andrew about this today. And I got to do this later. And I need to talk to my mom about that. Like just all this stuff, just your brain lights up.
Yeah. You were saying that meditating first thing was like, you had to swap that out. Was there anything else that maybe you tried and it just simply didn't work? Like I know you mentioned journaling, anything like that like, just maybe give people caution if they do want to try this during their morning routine.
The big thing is I just say, I like now getting movement in first. Journaling and doing all that, I do that throughout the day. Like I have my notebooks on me. So if there's anything I need to write out, anything I need to plan out, cool. And I usually do the planning for my next day the night before. So like when I get home before I go to bed, at some point within the last 2 hours of the night, I'll go through the tasks that I had set. I'll go through the things that I need to move on to the next day. I'll go through the way I'm feeling about the day, all that stuff. I'll just write that down. And I do that through the day. But some people start their day with meditation and that's cool. Like that's not a problem. I used to do that too. I just found that movement works better for me. And jumping rope is so simple. I don't need to go out and I don't need to run. My main goal is trying to make sure I get outside and get that sunlight so that my day starts off well. And jumping rope is just perfect. I can go to my backyard, jump rope, plunge inside the house, shower, meditate if I have time then, or I'll do that later in the day. But the meditating and journaling, I can do that at any point during my day.
Just think about like if you just set a timer to do, let's say 5 minutes of exercise and 5 minutes of some sort of like reading, it's like, I know you don't want to do it, but trust us when we say that many, not all, but many of the high level performers that we've had on the show, people that end up fulfilling the things that they've talked about for many, many years, they end up fulfilling their dreams and meeting those things and then some a lot of times through some of these practices, because you start to train yourself that way and you start to kind of recognize that you're that person that's capable of doing all these things, and you never thought you would be that person. You always thought that was for other people.
Yeah.
You always thought these people that were of power and these people that are kind of like, quote unquote, in control of some stuff. You always thought they had some sort of thing over you. Like because you were like, I I don't know what that's about. I don't know how to be in a position of power. I'm never going to own a company probably, so I may as well not ever really think about it. But when you start piecing these things together every single day, you recognize how capable you are. Other people are like, hey man, what have you been doing with yourself? Like, you're in really good shape. Or you get in conversation with them and you're able to spit all this information back to them because you've been reading, you've been expanding your mind. They're like, what in the fuck? As you start to hear these things more and more, it starts to build a lot of confidence, and you start to be able to start to paint a picture of like, oh, like maybe I could do some of that. Maybe I could do some of that shit. Maybe I'm not such a dummy. I'm actually going to have Nsima, because he's a better reader than me, but this is sent to me every single day without fail. And this is from Michael Niddle.
I knew it.
And I sent it to you.
Yeah.
And I was like, is he getting this from like an app or something? He's like, no, I just read every morning. And he sends me all these different like quotes, and you can kind of just maybe pick one or something to read. But he reads for like, I think a minimum like 30 minutes every morning. I'm not saying that you have to do this stuff, but I'm saying like, just fucking give it a shot, man.
Yeah. From our guy, Michael Niddle. He was, we did the podcast on NFTs and the Metaverse. So you guys need to go check that out, because I had so many people DM me saying how much use they got out of that. People have already been making money based off of the stuff they learned from that podcast. So check that out. And also, Michael, we're going to go on a dog date soon, bruh. I'm sorry. Anyway, let's read this.
He's part of that Bored Ape thing.
Yeah, he is.
That
He's in the
motherfucker.
Bored Ape Club. All right. Our painful experiences aren't a liability. They're a gift. They give us perspective and meaning, an opportunity to find our unique purpose and our strength. Dr. Edith Eger. Surrender yourself to the process of emptying yourself. You simply permit the pain to come up into your heart and pass through. If you do that, it will pass. Michael Singer. And this is the last quote. The dark does not destroy the light. It defines it. It's our fear of the dark that casts our joy into the shadows. Brene Brown. This dude is reading at some point. He's like reading, I think he mentioned he reads like 6 different books at the same time.
It's like 6 a.m. This is coming your way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's extremely, like, he's such a good dude. He's,
Just kind of think about it. Like, you want to be successful, and that guy's sending that to you. That guy's sending that message to you before a lot of people wake up. Again, I'm not saying that you can't be successful waking up later, and I'm not saying that you can't be successful by not reading, because I haven't really read much of anything, but I have always been a student. I've always like studied stuff to try to like learn more. It's going to be really difficult for you to fulfill some of the hopes and dreams that you have of yourself without becoming a material expert on it, at least a little bit. And trying to solve problems that you may have. Like if you have a great relationship with your partner, then maybe there's not a lot of reasons to read up a lot of things on relationships. However, somebody that's ahead and somebody that's intelligent would say, I'm actually going to listen to that, because I would like to be more attractive for my partner, even though I think she digs me the way things are now. Yeah. I'm gonna listen to this, because there might be something in there that I could learn, and maybe that will make our marriage or our partnership, or whatever you call it, maybe it'll make it even stronger. And that's what people do that are already ahead. I've mentioned this many times. Jim Rohn talks about how he would do these. He would talk about how to make money and how to be successful, and he was like, it's okay. When I drove up here today, in the front row, I saw a BMW, I saw a Lexus, he's naming off these cars that are fairly expensive that were parked as close to the front as could possibly be. And a lot of those same people sat like in the front row of these seminars that he would do. And he's like, I don't think any of you need to be here. You probably are already making some pretty damn good money. But that's the way that those things work, because those people started to believe more and more in themselves, and they start to recognize, okay, that's kind of cool that I'm pretty good at this, but I bet you that I can be better, and I bet you that maybe if I try hard enough and work hard enough, maybe I can be great at it.
And, if you're listening to this podcast, there's not a chance that you're not someone who's already an individual who believes in the idea of lifelong learning, because a lot of individuals, when they, get out of school or whatever, the learning kind of stops there. You don't really learn anything new, or you don't learn anything outside of the realm of where you're already interested. But you should keep going down what you're interested in. But I mean, like, it is a good idea to expand into other things that maybe you're not so potentially good at, or maybe things that if you feel you don't know about something, like in the recent years, when I was younger, I would have never thought that philosophy would be something interesting to me, especially when I was in college. I thought philosophy was a fucking joke.
Same here.
Right?
I fucking hated philosophy.
Yeah.
It was so frustrating.
Yeah. But in the recent years, after I started like diving into Stoicism a few years ago, I've just been like really digging into a lot of stuff that I would have never found myself reading. Like,
I named my son Aurelius.
You fucking
That was the biggest 180 I've ever taken, for sure.
And that stuff is like fun for me. Like I just started this book, Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky, and it's a dense fucking read, but it's like it's really interesting because these are books that a lot of people have talked about and have mentioned that like this is a book that has informed like leaders, people in power, etc. And you can understand why a lot of people don't read it, but you know, it's really fucking interesting and it really does inform some of the things that I'm thinking nowadays. So just dive into different shit. But I was gonna also mention this because we moved away from the morning thing a little bit. Don't look at your phone once you wake up. I do that still a little bit every now and then. I think this morning,
Come on,
I
bro.
made that mistake. It was right by my nightstand. I woke up, I was like, and then 3 minutes, and I'm like, bruh, put that shit down. Go do what you got to go
Needs
do.
to be an app that that takes a picture of you
and sends it to a friend.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
That'd be so good.
That would be
fucking,
so
like,
good.
It robs you right there. Like,
That's a
caught you
great idea.
in the act, bitch.
Yeah, that's a great. Fuck, should have kept that to myself.
just-
man.
Yep.
It's a great app idea.
Redact that from the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know, again, these are things that we're not saying like that you can't ever do them, and they're just things that you might want to be aware of. I actually think that in today's day and age, it would be a fair statement to say that just avoidance of a lot of stuff, just abstaining from a lot of things, like if you live a life where you don't eat a lot of processed food, you're going to be pretty successful in terms of being able to manage your body weight without even exercising. The exercise, I guess, would be like icing on the cake. It would be like a little extra topping on everything that you're doing. But man, if you could figure out a way to abstain from certain things, technology, there's appropriate times to use all these things.
Yep.
But first thing in the morning, I think what you're trying, at least what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to give myself the best opportunity possible to have the greatest day that I can. And there's nothing wrong with the phone. The phone is amazing for communication. Us three, we communicate all the time. I'm communicating with my kids. I'm communicating with my brother. I'm communicating with my dad. I mean, we're, going back and forth all day long, hundreds of text messages, literally. So the phone has its place, but what happens when you go to reach for the phone is we don't end up with just a text message, say, hey, I'm going to be there at 9 o'clock, or we end up getting super distracted. We ended up on social media, and we end up kind of like just wasting time and just kind of like maybe overexposure. Like what we're supposed to see in the morning is the sun, sunlight. And we're probably supposed to like kind of view like what the weather's going to be like, just for survival purposes and shit like that. And so the more that you can kind of abstain from certain things that are kind of addictive and things that can just sort of slow you down, I think the better off you're going to be.
PowerProject family, how's it going? Now, you guys know how we've had Stan, the Rhino Efforting, on the podcast. If you don't know who Stan is, he's an expert in nutrition, exercise, etc., and he's the creator of Vertical Meals. We came on this podcast and he's talked about the vertical diet many times, the different types of foods that you can have on the vertical diet. But how cool would it be if Stan was cooking for you? That's why we've partnered with Stan Efforting and Vertical Meals. And if you go to their website, you can have an amazing selection all the way from Monster Mash to breakfast samplers. There's an amazing selection of food there, and it all comes right from the mind of Stan the Rhino Efforting. Andrew, how can the people get it?
That's right, all the way from Stan Efforting's head straight to your door. Head over to verticaldiet.com and at checkout enter promo code PowerProject for free shipping. And if you order 16 meals or more, you get 2 additional meals absolutely free. Again, that's at verticaldiet.com. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes.
Absolutely. And there was, what was I just about to mention?
Well, we talked a little bit about, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. if you find yourself checking your phone in the morning, I always find myself like, if I go on YouTube and my intention was maybe to go see something that we did on YouTube, PowerProject, and then something comes into my feed and then I click it. The best thing that has helped me out so much is to like, my mind continues to play the question, wait, why are you doing this? Because once you like, if you're on Instagram and you're scrolling through and you're like, why am I doing this? You realize how useless the time you're spending is right at that moment. You'll be like, wait, I'm not even remotely interested in this video I'm watching. It's not really, and you'll turn it off. But you got to be present. Because like what happens when we start doing that shit is we go into autopilot, whether it's on YouTube watching multiple videos, whether it's on Instagram going through our feed, TikTok, whatever, you go into autopilot. But once you ask yourself, why am I doing this? Is this helping me? Like write that down somewhere and just ask yourself that. You will put that shit down and go do what you got to do. That's been a useful tool for me for a long time.
You could also try to set like a little time limit to it. You know, you can even just talk to your phone and say, you know, set a reminder in 10 minutes to, you know, go work out or whatever it is, whatever the other thing is that you're supposed to do, rather than just, you know, spending so much time on social media, because it's real easy. Just you start poking around and next thing you know, you've been on there for 20 minutes and you're like, I am completely wasting my time.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, you know, if it fits your time macros, like you can make it work, but maybe it's just not the healthiest thing to do.
I think Kalipa's talked a lot about that, setting a time to it.
Yeah, but a big thing too, I think why it's so important to start your morning with something good, you know, is because it starts your day off with a win.
Yeah.
Like it feels the worst when you have a morning and it's a slow morning and you're dragging yourself out of bed, you have your cup of coffee. Let's say you do spend your time on social media and then you do go out and go to work. You've already been like, ugh, right? Like your day is already starting on a low point, and now you have to try to build up from there. But if you can start doing something physical, get your heart rate up, do some push-ups with a slingshot. Like if you don't want to just do some bare push-ups, grab a fucking slingshot and just pop those push-ups out, because you'll be able to do 50 or 60, right? You're already, heart rate feels good. You want to go move, you go take a walk, you come back home, you get everything in, like you've already started your morning winning. That gives you so much good momentum for the rest of your day.
Yeah, and I don't know the science behind any of it, but I've heard enough smart people mention about your cortisol levels being higher in the morning. So that's why I like to work out in the morning. At least that's one of the reasons why. But yeah, if you can combat that extra cortisol with, that's a hard word for me to say right now, with some exercise, you know, it won't go straight to them hips.
I think, you know, something you're looking to do in the morning is, for some people, like if you are kind of reaching for your phone or doing things that you maybe aren't supposed to be doing at that time because you're trying to be more productive, is you're looking for some like gratification. But you know for a fact, you go for a jog around the block, you go for a walk, you go on a walk with your wife or one of your kids, or you do something in the morning, you get in a couple push-ups, whatever it is, you know that you're going to feel fucking amazing after that. Like, fuck a cup of coffee. Like, that's way more powerful. And that's actually what Kara brought up when she was on the show. She's like, do 100 push-ups before your day even gets rolling. She's like, you've never had like something give you more energy than that.
Sure.
And we lose sight of that. You know, the human body is kind of like, it will get pretty lazy because it will view things as like it costing too much. You know, push-ups, we're not like wired to do push-ups, but we are wired for movement. And once you get the movement going and once you've had some momentum, again, this is mentioned many times over in James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, where he talks about once you set yourself in motion, that is motivation. That is because in order to be motivated, you need a motive. And your motive, you can't understand it until you're already in motion, unfortunately. Sometimes you can. Sometimes I could sit down with certain people and say, these things, let's talk about all these things. What do you think are the 5 things that are in your best interest to do day in and day out that are reasonable for you to lose some body fat, right? And we go over these things. They agree. I agree. Well, they have a motive. They understand. You understand. The principle of awareness is a key element of coaching, making people aware of what it is they're doing, why they're doing it, and also maybe even how they're going to do it. But once you kind of work yourself through that process, there still is the thing of, because if it just ended there we wouldn't have anybody being overweight. Everybody would be at their goal already. It doesn't end there. You have to actually go and do the thing. Something that helps me a ton is, and I've mentioned this before, and I'm not sure if I heard this from Jocko Willink, so if I am stealing this from him, I'll credit him, but I heard him mention something similar to this, but I'm a big believer in trying to develop unflinching discipline. You're just going to do it. Like you don't think about it. There's some people that believe, people like Andrew Huberman and some people that study the brain, they believe that thinking happens the moment that conflict arises. But if you can beat conflict to the punch, then you can just go and do the thing that you wanted to do before that ever, because once that conflict hits, it's a little later than I thought. Fuck, man, jumping rope outside, man, it's raining out there today. You have my dog doesn't even want to go outside. Like it's just the excuses. Once the excuses come up, you're kind of dead in the water. So if you can try to beat those things to the punch and start to build an unflinching discipline to where you're just in motion, for sure that once that thing is done, you're going to feel way better, and there's not ever going to be occasion, unless you somehow got injured, where you're going to feel worse.
Absolutely. That's a big deal right there. Like, for example, this morning, I woke up and my body wasn't, I told you this, my body wasn't feeling the best. I felt kind of like, ooh. So
what if your mom heard you say that? She'd punch you.
Right.
She'd punch you in the stomach.
Well, I didn't say that my body is this way. I said I just wasn't feeling this way. But if I ever made up that statement, yeah, she'd be like, correct yourself. She'd make me correct myself. But yeah, and I woke up and my body was obviously kind of beat up. Yesterday, I was in the sauna for like an hour 15 because I didn't go to jiu-jitsu yesterday. So I did the sauna for a long time. And what I noticed is when I do the sauna for a long time, I have those residual effects for like a day or so. So when I woke up, I was like, fuck. And when I jump rope and I'm like, ooh, I'm really feeling this right now. So I only ended up jump roping for I think 5 or 6 or 7 minutes, I think. And then when I went into the cold plunge, which I usually do for 5 minutes, I went in and immediately, when you go into a cold plunge, you're supposed to slow your breathing down because that actually makes it so that it feels fine. But once I went in, everything was pins and needles. And I was like, whoa, dude, calm down. You don't usually do that. And I slowed my breathing down, but still it was like pins and needles. So I only stayed in there for about 2.5 minutes and I got out. But the thing is, it was still a win because I did the necessary things that got me. I still felt great after I did that. It may have not felt like it usually does, but I still got something in. I saw the sunlight, all right? I everything was going the way it was supposed to. So there's going to be mornings when you're going to find yourself not wanting to do the thing you typically do, whether you're a person who chooses to want to meditate in the morning and you usually meditate for 10 or 20 minutes, maybe just go sit there and try to do it for 4 or 5 minutes, right? If you usually go out and take a walk and it's usually a 15, 20-minute walk, go out and take a 10-minute walk, 5 or 10 minutes. Get yourself outside, get yourself moving. You want to do 100 push-ups and you don't feel it? Do 50, right? Do something. Get that heart rate going a little bit because it's still going to set up, it's still a win. Right, that's the whole idea of not having that all or nothing mentality. Because when people set themselves up with that all or nothing mentality, like if I can't do this whole thing, then I've failed. It makes them so that on that one day when they're not totally feeling it and they don't manage to do something, they're like, they're beating themselves up and they're like, this isn't going to work for me, and then they fall off. But if you can at least make sure most of the time you're doing what you set out to do, and sometimes when that happens, you do something, that's still a win.
I like what you said. I think it's pretty simple. Like just try to start your day out with a win. And when you're trying to start your day out with a win, like give yourself like an opponent that's like easy to beat, like throw in Glass Joe, throw in somebody that's real easy to whoop on. That way, because you have expectations of yourself to like do this jumping rope for 10 minutes or something like that, and you're able to like curtail it, and you're like, it's not the same today, so I'm going to cut it a little bit short. But it's still a victory. You still got your heart rate still went up, and because it didn't feel as good, it was still challenging. Yeah, because your body was just fatigued and it was acting differently. What is a cold plunge for you? Because I don't think you've been doing it for a really long time, but what are you noticing? Like, what's it doing? noticing any difference in like cognitive behavior or like what do you think it's doing for you?
So the resilience aspect is a big deal because going into like freaking 38-degree water, it's cold, it shocks you. But one thing is I feel like it helps with just mental resilience. You know what I mean? So a lot of people find it hard to focus on things for a good period of time, or they find that things sway them one way or the other. I think a lot of people have mentioned, and I notice it too, it does help me with that. Another thing though is the inflammation aspect of things. There have been multiple days that I've gone into my cold plunge of like, let's say that I felt something in my back or something was just feeling, my body was feeling kind of wonky. I hop in there for a few minutes, I come out and I feel fucking good. And I'm like, placebo. Like I'm really trying to pay attention to this for a while after, like how do I feel? And quite literally, I just feel really like my body, it's like that, whatever I had, I don't feel it anymore, right? So one thing that we do know is that cold plunging does literally reduce and stop inflammation that's going on, which is why it's not suggested that you do it after a lifting session. You don't want to go into a cold plunge after you lift because the inflammation and all the things that are happening post-lift, you want that to happen. You want that to spur growth. But in the morning when I'm trying to get my day started, that's something that is good for me to do at that point in time.
Maybe several hours later would be fine too, right? It's not going to matter. Like if you lifted in the morning and you cold plunge like at 2 o'clock, probably not going to be a negative, right?
Not going to do that at all.
What
not
about
a
pre-workout plunge?
A pre-workout plunge? You know that so after I cold plunge, my body is residually like even when I go take a shower, I'm still having mini shivers for about an hour or two. And the interesting aspect of it is I haven't even talked about the fat loss things, but there's, because of the increased movement and what shivering does, a lot of people have shown that it does help with a little bit of extra fat loss. I'm not doing it for that, but that is a benefit of doing that. And I shiver, like afterwards, I am shivering for maybe 2 hours, even when I come in here, even after I take a warm shower, because my body is trying to get back to normal, right? So there is that too. A pre-workout plunge, I've never done it, but hey, it's
maybe
not problematic.
Maybe quite a bit shorter, so that way maybe you're not like messing with your body temperature. You know, if you did it for like a minute, that might be good because then you might be like hyped. I'm just speculating. I have no idea.
You're right.
But,
I could, I could see somebody doing that, just hopping into a cold plunge real quick, 30 seconds,
popped out, smashed on some push-ups and some kettlebell swings. You'd probably be pretty fired up, right?
I'm just thinking,
feel that, dude,
because I work out in the morning. You know, if I would cold plunge, I would probably have to do it in the morning like you, but then I would
do it before. You would do it before.
The cold plunge stuff is interesting, but you know, the thing is with cold plunge and with sauna, something that I think is really important for people to recognize is you're going to elevate your heart rate a little bit. And it will mimic exercise just a pinch. So for those people that kind of hate to exercise, they don't really enjoy it, they don't really love it, or somebody that is either injured or someone who is a little older and just doesn't have the same output that they used to have, you're burning some calories from that stuff. However you can implement, I'm not saying it's like this crazy fat burner. I'm not saying it's going to, help you burn an additional 1,000 calories a day, but hey, every little bit helps.
Absolutely. And there was something you just mentioned right there. As far as the cold plunge is concerned, the breathing. So I wear my Apple Watch when I cold plunge, and it is, what happens is initially when you get in there, like, right, your heart rate, like my heart rate goes up to like 130, 140, but that breath control. This is what some people forget. I go to this place called Asha Urban Baths, and I notice when people go into the cold plunge there, they get out after like 15, 20 seconds, but they get out because they can't control their breathing. You're supposed to get in there. It's extremely uncomfortable. Your body doesn't feel good, but throughout that, you slow down your breathing, and you notice that, like my Apple Watch, heart rate goes up to 140, then it starts going down to 120, 110, 80,
Probably
60.
pretty smart to have something that monitors your heart when you go in there. Probably a good idea.
Yeah, and then it goes all the way down to like 55, and it's just like once it's there, you're just like, you're chilling. But that gives you, Wim Hof talks a lot about it, but that ability to control your breath, and that allows you to control your mood. And think about this, when stress hits you during any point, there are a lot of other things than cold plunging that you can do to train yourself to handle stress. But that is literally a direct way to train yourself calming down from from extreme stress,
Yeah.
because that doesn't feel good. It feels good when you're relaxed, but it doesn't feel good initially.
Let's talk about day before, like, getting yourself set up the night before is huge. And also I would say something I've learned, which I just not sure why I haven't thought about it before, but I've also recognized over the years that I could start my day before practice anytime I want. It doesn't have to be at night. So a lot of times, like for me, I'm pretty good like during the day. I want to do a lot. I want to experience a lot. I want to work out. I want to podcast. I want to do a lot of like just work in general. But as the day wears on, my decision making kind of dwindles. And at the end of the day, I'm like, I just love to go home and just kind of be with my family and eat and just really relax. So it's helpful to me before I start to kind of go downhill and start to relax and get ready for bed and stuff like that. It's helpful to me to like pick out some clothes for the day, the next day, look at my calendar and see what's in store for the next day. Even like some visualization of like, this is where I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to do. Oh, really? This is great. We have a guest coming in. And then I might start to maybe text people a little bit. I don't want to get into too much of that, like especially too late at night, but I might have to communicate with some different people here at work about a particular guest that's coming in. I'm just trying to set up the next day as much as I possibly can before the day even starts. That way, when I wake up, I might kind of be sort of clueless on what the hell I'm doing exactly, but my clothes are laid out and I'm like, oh yeah, I texted Ryan this and I texted Nsima this. And I remember now that, these are the things that I got to do. So the day is like all the like little things that I can take care of, they're already taken care of. They're already set up. I'm already pretty much ready to go.
Absolutely. And I think a big deal there too is, you start your day, you already have a plan set up, but the reflection at the end of the day on how your day went is going to be something that allows you not to continue going on autopilot. Like I mentioned before, when you're on your phone, just scrolling through Instagram, YouTube, or whatever, you're on autopilot. But when you ask yourself, why am I doing this? You realize I need to switch. I need to go do something else. Then you switch off. That's what reflection does at the end of the day. You do want to have a time where you're reflecting on the actions that you took. How did my day go? Did I get what I needed to get done? Why didn't I get it done? Or, what was good today? And when you're able to do that, you're able to make sure and to plan in a way so that it maybe doesn't happen the next day. If you made some mistakes today, sit down, write it down. That's when when I have my journal, that's when I write those things down on what went well and what didn't. And I can adjust for the next day. But if I were just going through every single day, just going through everything that I do and not sitting down and thinking about the day, not sitting down and thinking about the wins or the things that didn't go the way I wanted them to go, then I'm just going to repeat those same exact things the next day because there's nothing going on. And that's how a lot of people go. That's how a lot of people live. They live in autopilot. And I'm not perfect. I try to do this every day and I do this a majority of my days, but there are some days that I'm not able to that I don't sit and reflect, but I do that most of the time. And that's one of the things that allows me to continue to slowly course correct each day to get close to where I'm trying to go and what I'm trying to do.
I think something else that might be helpful to people is to maybe have an overarching idea, concept, theme, goal, dream. So that way you know how to point all this stuff. Everything will make more sense when you work your way backwards from it. So you say that that you want to, bench press 315 pounds. It's like a major goal of yours, but you also have like a 9-to-5 job and you have these other things. You want to think of what are all the things involved in me being able to bench press that weight or for me to be able to lose some weight. And once you start to kind of recognize all the different things, then you can say, what are things I can reasonably implement? Because we can point out tons of things that will get you there, but then there's also a moment where things get to be way too much, way too time consuming in accordance to your lifestyle and so on. So I think it's important that you have something because we're talking about these morning routines for us and these late night and these bedtime routines for us, but it's in accordance to the particular goals that we have. you're going to see a lot of commonalities across the board of like, people like laying out their clothes before they go to bed, people trying to have good sleep hygiene. I do think it's critical for a lot of people to try to get the phone out of the bed. I know that's like a tough thing for people, but the more resistant that you are to something and the more you're like, fuck no, probably the more you need to like review that and really consider it. We had Ben Pekulski. Ben Pekulski, when he was on the show, he said, as soon as it's something that you say you can't, that means you must. So when somebody's like, I can't live without my phone, in my bedroom, then that's probably a sign that you need to look into ditching it. But yeah, whatever your goal is, whatever your main thing is, then you can start to kind of set your days up, and they'll be in accordance to a lot of the things that you're trying to get done.
I have a question for you, Mark, because I've realized this. How often do you say that, like, you can't do something? Like, how often do you word things that way? Because obviously there are things that maybe, you're not going to take part in or whatever, but how often does your self-talk, is it ever like that? Is there anything you've caught yourself with? Yeah.
I catch myself reframing my wording kind of all the time. Yeah. Even saying all the time, like I try not to talk in absolutes, but it still slips out here and there. I do my best with it, because saying that you can't do something is just really limiting. Like and it's usually not true. Somebody says, like somebody listening right now, they might think this is true of themselves. I can't lose weight if I'm eating carbs. And it's like, well, I'm sure there's like, there's a special person out there for any and all kinds of things. However, most diets that I've ever seen that will take your energy down a little bit, the energy that you consume, and it encourages you to have a little bit more energy out, they almost always have a net result of you like losing weight. So I try my best to like nix certain words, but even the word try is something that I've tried to eliminate, because I just think about doing more so.
Yeah. But
certain words are very difficult. I'll give you an example. Should, would, and could are also things that I try to use sparingly, because I believe those are acts of like forcefulness. Those are acts of kind of like coercion. And like, if I'm telling you shit that you should be doing, it's like, it's not a great communicate. It's not as good as the communication of me explaining something to you and saying, hey, do you think that would be like a good idea for you to do that? Rather than me telling you should be doing something. Yeah. As soon as I say should, you're kind of a little bit on the defensive almost. You're like, why the fuck's this guy telling me what I should do? But also within yourself, though, I think it's important, because if you say I should jump rope for 10 minutes every morning, what happens when you don't? Now you're beating yourself up. I should eat better starting tomorrow. What happens when you don't? So I do my best to work on eliminating a lot of these words and or using other words, but it gets to be tricky and it gets to be very difficult. But I guess overall, my mindset is still, it's not set, because it can mold to many different things, but I try to at least set it on a mode of you can and you will. Some things might take you a little longer than you'd like, but you will get there, and that sort of language.
When you mentioned the thing about people saying like, oh, I can't drop weight on carbs or while using carbs or whatever, it reminds me, I get this a lot. Whenever, if I'm ever eating something that's suspect to people in fitness, like there's day I brought some Panda Express with some orange chicken in here, and I remember somebody was like, you can do that because you're you, right? Or you, and I get that a lot when I'm like eating certain things here and there, but I'm just like, no. Number one, I fast quite a bit, so this is totally going to be within my range. Number two, I burn a lot of calories, so this literally means nothing. Like, it means nothing in the grand scheme of what I'm eating during the day. And it also makes me realize, because sometimes when I pay attention to how some of those people eat, they eat in very limited ways, right? And very restricted type of diets. And they're like, you're acting and you believe like that you cannot eat certain things, or that you cannot perform while eating certain things. So you will not be able to, right? Because you already believe that this special person is able to do this because they're special.
I could never eat like you. I'd never be in the same shape.
Right?
And it's like, well, if you did all the other things, then maybe you wouldn't be in the same shape, but you'd probably be in better shape than you are now.
And this falls right in line with like people that are doing well on YouTube, people that are making a lot of money. Shit, I could never do that because that person speaks so well. Or I could never do that because they have that great camera. I could never do that because whatever, right? That you're literally already putting yourself in a place that you can't do it. That's why I'm very, because of my mom, because a lot of stuff here, I'm very careful with the way I say things about myself and the way I put things forward, because I know that if I see someone doing something dope and I'm like, I can't do that, I can't. I really won't be able to, because I've already stamped that out, right? You got to look at a lot of things that other people are doing and don't say you can't do it. Maybe be like, oh, okay, that's not for me right now, but I know how I could do this. Or, oh, that's definitely cool. How are they doing that? Change that, because that's a big deal.
Yeah, I do my best with it. And even saying things like saying that something's going to be like really hard. You know, again, I try to, rather than use that word, maybe I'll say challenge. Like that might be challenging. Like that's going to be a challenge for me. To me, that has a little bit more positive. Like it means that because I'm aware of the difficulty of it, I'm going to do my best to like work my way through it, or learn enough about it to where I can come out the other end better. But yeah, reinterpretation has been like super critical for me. I really think about people's language and how they word things and how they say things, all the way to the point where I've had a lot of people mention to me like these family situations that pop up. And, you know, it's usually them and somebody else that they have an issue with. And a lot of times they'll say, you'll just hear like the pain in their voice. Like they're so upset and frustrated with the other person. And all I can do sometimes is just say, hey, like, you ever considered therapy? Like, have you ever, and what they always say is they're like, oh, the other person would never go for that. And so even that kind of language is like, well, I don't know if you presented it to them. I don't know if you had a conversation with them. And I don't know if you chose to have the conversation at an appropriate time, not when you're like fighting or whatever. But also, when I mentioned therapy, why did you automatically assume that I meant that both of you need to go? I was just talking to you specifically. So then people get defensive though, and they're like, well, you know, why would I go? And it's like, well, okay, now that you said it that way, you're probably going to miss the point, you know, because I'm not a professional therapist, but there are people that have knowledge. So when you start to say can't, and you start to say things that are super limiting, you have to just recognize there's people out there that have dealt with these things before. There's people that think about these things. They think about these things all day long. Yeah. Whether you have diabetes, or whether you're trying just to lose a couple pounds, or whether you're trying to bench 900 pounds, or like whatever the thing is, you can find people out there that have done it before. And all you got to do to get past your limitations is to leave your brain open to just asking questions. That's all you really got to do. Got to ask. I know we steered away from a little bit of our evening habits, I guess, before bed, our rituals. But for me, it's like a matter of just trying to calm down from the day a bit. So I love using my sauna. I love using my hot tub, taking a shower, like all that stuff seems to help a ton. There's not anything like that I can think of that's real like glaring. That's like, oh, that's a like revelation. But cutting out my eating like a large meal by around 7 p.m. I try to go to bed around 9, 10, somewhere in there. that has been really helpful. And so I still might have like a protein shake, or I might eat something small, but normally I try to cut that out. And if I am successful with that, I've just noticed it helps improve my sleep. And so that's why I've kind of gone to that.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at not eating an hour before bed or an hour and a half before bed nowadays. And man, I'm always using those blue blockers. The blue blockers really help me feel like I'm winding down. I usually try to read before bed too. And like I mentioned, the journaling thing, I always do keep that on me so I can write down certain things about the day, which will help me have another good day the next day. Because now I already know the things I'm going to be trying to get done the next day. I don't need to think. I don't need to wake up and then sit down and think, okay, what do I have to do today? It's already planned out. It's already like, these are the tasks I need to try to get done today. Let's get them done. And it's like less hindrances to actually doing things. That's what I try to use the night before for.
And what do you put in the journal again? Like, or your to-do list and all that sort of thing?
The tasks I have to get done, and then the different things that come to mind as far as the way I've been feeling, about certain situations or about people or about whatever, just kind of dump that shit out. Yeah. Tasks, events, and feelings.
Let's talk about your feelings.
Not on air.
The one thing you don't want to share on there?
Bruh, I just told y'all I ate my cum.
That's why I'm saying. You'll go there, but...
Hey, and it was only a dollop. Like, let's not act like I'm
dollop?
Actually, a dollop's pretty large.
I was going to say, that
dollop's too big. Nah, it's like
drinking a lot of...
I'm picturing like a big spoon.
No, okay, because I was thinking of a dollop of Daisy. That's too much. That's like a lot of sour cream. No, it's literally...
not sour cream, though.
Shut the fuck up. It's a dot on a pinky. That's all it is. All right.
Andrew, with the baby and stuff, what do you guys got going on over there?
It's just a whole mess. It is just terrible now.
Carnage.
On good days in the mornings, every day's a good day. But on days where I can check all my boxes or make my asterisk. I wake up, and lately I've been reading in the morning because I'm trying to ditch the phone. And I've mentioned this in the previous podcast where, like, I know for sure my phone is a detriment to me in the morning. The same thing. It's like I'm scrolling and I'm like, I've been saying like I'm not good at reading. I'm getting better. But yeah, I can read someone's Twitter post and read the next one and the next one for like an hour. I'm like, oh my God, like what a fucking idiot. Like I just threw away my morning. So I've been reading Atomic Habits. And so that's been cool. And then so after that, I will roll into a workout. And then after that, shower. By the time I shower, my son's usually awake, so I'll make him breakfast. I'll make my wife breakfast. I'll make myself breakfast, and then I'll end up here. And that's been, like I said, that's days where I can cross everything out. The ones that are kind of non-negotiable is the reading and at least some form of back stretching of something, like just getting my back warmed up somehow, whether it be just doing like a version of Stuart McGill's Big Three or, again, a workout.
Yeah, that's something you and I talked about, was just trying to string together a bunch of days in a row of like, I'm going to at least do something from my back every day.
Yeah. And then the other non-negotiable, just because she's doing way too much stuff, but I need to make breakfast for my wife. Like she's doing so many things all at the same time. Sometimes it's like, hey, what'd you eat today? She's like, oh yeah, I got to do that still. Like, oh my gosh. Okay. And then for my son, I mean, dude, I want to set him up as best as possible. So making him an egg is awesome. He's not eating the whole thing, not yet, but that's my non-negotiables right there. And then I wish I could say that exercising and stuff's non-negotiable either. It kind of is, but if one thing's going to fall, it's probably going to be that right now. But I do my best to get all those things in the morning, and then the nighttime routine. Again, right now it's a little bit all over the place because if Aurelius is asleep, I definitely don't want to go into the room and wake him up by like fumbling through my clothes or whatever. So one thing I do need to do is just right when I get home is just start laying clothes out and getting stuff ready. Like you said today, Mark, like you don't have to do your nighttime routine right before bed. You can do it, whenever you want the day before. So that's what it's been for me. And it is extremely fulfilling when I leave the house and I've read, I've worked out, and I've cooked for my family. I can't imagine anything better than that. I can imagine a lot of things that are not as good because I have done that, where it's like, oh fuck, I tried to buy another Xbox for somebody, and I wasted time in line at Best Buy online, and got nothing out of it. And then it's like, oh my gosh, now it's a mad dash to try to get here on time because I haven't got the text from Mark saying that he's late yet, so that means he's probably early. Like, shit, I got to get there. Those days suck, Thankfully, we don't have a super strict clock unless we have a guest coming on, but. No, you just, like you said, you kind of start the day out with a loss or not with a win.
Yeah.
And then, from there you're kind of chasing that win. And, when you're trying to be on the offensive, you kind of end up messing things up even more. So when you're able to kind of sit in the car, take a deep breath and be like, we're doing good. This day is going to be an awesome day. And it just gets better from there. It
does.
So it's tough. Because with the baby, sometimes he wakes up early and it's like, shit, Stephanie just clocked in, fuck, man, I was just about to get into this set. All right, I'll change his diaper, damn it, that totally throws me off. But, it happens, and you just have to, chalk it up to life and have one less set of chests that day. It's not the end of the world. And that's the other thing too, is my workouts right now, I am not, setting PRs. I'm not doing anything too dramatic. I'm not posting anything on Instagram because I'm just doing very basic stuff, but I'm just trying to make sure I'm not going too far away from any of that, away from my fitness, away from my diet, all that stuff. I'm trying to be as close as possible while still being there for all my other responsibilities.
Just another James Clear-ism is he talks about priority, and he talks about the word priorities, because he said that you can't have more than one thing be the priority. Yeah. So you pick one thing. And it sounds like for you, the one thing that you want every morning is to kind of set your family up for the day. And then you're like, okay, I did that. That's my dad job for the day. And even though I don't want to, I'm going to leave and go work and do some other dad shit because I need to make some money.
Absolutely.
And maybe I'll get a chance to lift later, or maybe because I had to push other things aside. But I think that's a key. And that's what I was talking about earlier was, maybe it's not necessarily a goal. I probably should have reframed it and used the word priority. Find what's your priority, because it doesn't have to necessarily be a goal, but your priority. What is your priority? What are you trying to do? And for some of us, it's as simple as hey, I just want to get my heart rate up a little bit. I want to see some sunlight, and I want to kind of set my body up for the whole day. And in your case, you're trying to set your family up for the whole day. But another key element to that, as we always point out, is you can't set your family up unless you're set up. So you got to feel good. You got to get yourself right. And if you do that, take the time to do that, it's going to be that much easier to pour all that into your family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Want to take us on out of here, Andrew?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for checking out today's. Whoa!
Swish!
And Nsima just.
A swisher.
That's I don't know, 10 feet? 10, 15 feet? Just nailed it.
25 feet, 30 feet.
The 85-foot jump shot. That was sick.
Footer, man.
Buzzer beater.
Basically,
crazy. Curry
over here. Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please like and follow or subscribe to this YouTube channel. Ring that bell notification so you guys know when we drop new shit and even go live. Follow the podcast at Mark Bell's Power Project on Instagram, at MB Power Project on TikTok and Twitter. My Instagram and Twitter is at I am Andrew Z. And Nsima, where you be?
Talk to us about some of your morning routines, guys. At Nsima Inyang on Instagram and YouTube, at Nsima Inyang on TikTok and Twitter, Mark.
What's that little ninja guy you got over there?
Oh, it's an 8-bit Ryu.
Oh, man, that is the best one I've ever seen.
Ryu from Street Fighter.
Damn.
But it's an 8-bit form. Like the, yeah.
Hey, he's very Minecrafty.
Yeah, bruh. It's problematic. I don't collect these anymore, but there is a period of time in my early 20s, weird to say, that I purchased a lot. I had over 100 different pops. Yeah, I had over 100 different pops. I gave some away. I still have some in bags.
I love those things.
But yeah.
I mean, I think it's kind of like they're dolls, right? So whatever.
They're not dolls.
Oh.
They are
action
collectible
figures? No.
action figurines. They're collectibles.
I'm sorry, sir.
Just wait till my my Master Chief one comes in.
Hey, my Mecha Black Panther.
Yeah. I know.
Sick.
Did you put my my Captain America on?
That was Mark.
Okay. I was like, who did this? Who touched my shit?
That was Mark.
Who's playing with my toys? I mean, my collectibles.
Yeah, I was like, this shit's dope.
It's not a toy. It's a collectible.
Yeah, it's a bobblehead. Captain America. What are they called? Mech? Or
I don't know what that series is called.
yeah, but it's fucking sick.
These are pops if you guys are interested.
I know
Funko
people listening are
Pops.
like, what the fuck are they talking about?
I'm at Mark Smelly Bell. Strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. Catch you guys later. Bye.